The best we can do when we think about heaven being like, in my vision, is like being this perfect marriage with the perfect spouse, and just, you know, everything is cool. And there's no sickness, and there's, the fact that there's no time doesn't mean it's boring, it's just the opposite. Bishop Sheen used to say, it means that everything is happening at once. You don't have to wait for anything, nothing gets old, everything is new, nothing gets dusty. You don't have to clean anything. Great possibility, huh? So purgatory is not for forgiveness, but it's for cleansing. It's not for growth, but it's for cleansing, okay? The way to help people in purgatory, the greatest way to help people in purgatory is by the Mass, okay? That's why people so often have us say Masses for those who have died. And in my opinion, you know, some people have Mass said every year on the anniversary. Well, when my mother died, I was not interested in having a Mass said every year for her. I wanted them all said right away. And actually, if you have kids and one of your sons wants to be a priest, let him be a priest. Because I got 100 cards from priests, people that said they said Mass for my mother when she died. So I'm sure she was very happy that she accepted the fact that I wanted to be a priest. Because that's a lot of power, 100 Masses. And I continue to pray for her, but my suspicion is that those 100 Masses would be enough. Yes?
I mean, do you just pray until you die? I mean,
well, more or less, yeah.
Okay, there's no...
You know, some people get inklings. One young woman told me that when her father died, they prayed for her and had Masses said for him. And he had a great devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. And she told me, we walked into a store and there was a beautiful picture of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And we figured that was a sign that he had made it, okay? So these are kind of vague signs. I mean, there's no guarantee. But you usually don't get a sign. So what happens if Uncle Fred died and you're having Masses said for him and prayers said for him and everything, and he's already in heaven? Well, those Masses are not wasted, okay?
They go to someone else.
They go for somebody. So I would say keep praying. And it depends on the kind of life the person led, okay? St. Vincent Ferrer, who was a very holy man, needless to say, since he's a saint, had a sister who rejected all his suggestions to, you know, straighten out her life. And she died. She made her peace with God before she died, but she appeared to him and told him that she was scheduled to be in purgatory until the end of time, which is, I'm sure, a pretty long time. She said, but if you would say 30 days of Masses for me, I would get out. And so he did, and she actually appeared to him and told him that she was out of purgatory. Another story is from the life of St. Teresa of Avila. The bishop had a brother whose name was Don Bernardino, and he was living a pretty sinful life, and the Lord appeared to St. Teresa and said he was on his way to hell, but because he presumably had some kind of perversion, and he gave her a house in Valladolid to have her convent for the Carmelites. And he said because he did that for the Blessed Mother, because Carmelites is a Marian order, he will be in purgatory. He just died, and he will be in purgatory until you have the first Mass said there. And finally she got there. She did not have the permission of the bishop, but he did give her permission to have a Mass there, and she was sure that didn't count. But at the end of the Mass, he appeared to her and said, thank you very much, because you had this Mass said. Now I'm released from my sufferings in purgatory, and he was on his way to the kingdom. So that's in the that's a story that Saint Teresa herself told. There are other stories like that. St. Margaret Mary, a Benedictine monk appeared to her in what she called was a pitiable condition, in a fire of which she herself felt the heat. And he told her that because he had directed her to receive communion, he was given the grace to approach her and ask her to offer her sufferings and actions for him for 3 months to ease his pain. He told her he was in purgatory because he was too concerned about others' opinions of him, too attached to other people, and not as charitable to his fellow monks as he should have been. So Margaret Mary got permission from her superior to offer her sufferings, and I'm sure she was hoping that her superior would say no, but her superior said yes, and she endured terrible suffering, feeling the heat from his presence for 3 months. After this, he appeared to her in glory, about to enter into heaven, and promised to help her from heaven. Okay, so you get an idea. Now, an interesting question would be, what about if you go to confession and you do your penance and you're on your way home, and since we live in the Washington area, let's say you're hit by a terrorist, right, and you die. Where would you most likely go?
What about a bus?
Yeah, bus sounds better.
Well, you know, you never know, right? I mean, some of these codes go to arms and so on. So, and you die, well, where would you go? Where would most people go?
They say
Well,
purgatory.
Huh?
They say purgatory. I heard the purgatory.
I think it's purgatory.
Yeah.
All right, and that's right, all right? Mother Teresa, if she died, she would probably go to heaven, all right? But most people go to purgatory and say, well, I did my penance. The penances we did now in confession are more or less symbolic, okay? They're not designed to totally make up for the sins that we confess, okay? But I can tell you, if you want to make up for sins fast, go to Mass every day, okay? That's a great way. That's a great way. The people that go to Mass every day are not the crazy people. They're smart, okay? They're very smart. Okay, so I could tell you another story from Teresa of Avila, but I'll stop now and ask if you have any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For souls in purgatory, do they have a physical body, a spiritual body, or no body?
They have no body. We'll have a spiritual body when we rise from the dead. That doesn't mean we'll just have a spirit. That means we'll have a body that you can touch, but probably the kind of body that Jesus had that walked through walls and things like that, but a body that you can see, okay? So they don't have a body, they have a soul, and so the fire that they experience is something that doesn't burn up what is in it, but it just gives the effect of the fire that we would have if we were in the fire in our bodies, okay? But Thomas Aquinas actually writes about the fire in hell and says it's just about the same as the fire on earth, except it doesn't burn up what is in it, okay? So it's a very rich existence. It's painful, but there's joy. And, I mean, this helps us, I think, to realize how much better heaven is than, let's say, limbo, okay? Limbo is where, limbus patrum, the vestibule of the fathers, that's where people like Moses and Abraham and people like that would have gone until Christ died. A place of natural happiness, okay? What this world would be like if there were no sin in this world, okay? And everybody's attractive and, you know, it only rains at night and all things like that, you know? But heaven is like way, way, way above that, way above that. So it's going to be, we're going to have to be supercharged to be able to live in heaven. Otherwise, I think we'd faint if we just had a glimpse of heaven, because it's just awesome.